Okay, like our earlier pitching panel, what I'm going to do is give each of our panel, perhaps Sebastian, because he's had a good go at it already, so we'll perhaps give you a little bit of a rest, but I'll give everyone else 2 minutes to introduce your company and to give us what you think is the best business advice on how to build a brand with sustainable innovation. So 2 minutes to tell us what you're doing and how that, your bit of advice that you'd offer around developing a business with sustainable innovation. So why don't we start with Galahad from Vivo Barefoot. Yeah, help yourself to the microphone. And I will be using the reintroducing the card system. So once you've got 30 seconds to go, yellow card, red card means please be quiet.
Okay,
Lovely.
thank you very much. Happy to be here. So I'm come from a long line of cobblers and have been involved in quite a few different shoe projects, making, and as we've heard today, there are 1,000 ways to skin the eco cat, especially when it comes to shoemaking, and I've had to go at pretty much most of them, from circularity to social projects in Africa to design for disassembly, vegetarian, natural, you name it, bio. But as I learned more and more about sustainability, I learned that the beginning of wisdom is the definition of terms, and everybody has a different definition for sustainability. But my favorite one came from a guy called John Ehrenfeld, who said, sustainability is about humans and life on Earth being able to flourish. And I think, flourish is a wonderful word. And he said the only excuse for filling the world up with more crap, and really that there is so many shoe brands and so many products out in the world, is the only excuse for contributing to that, ever-growing production, is that a product should either help us connect more with nature, it should and/or help us feel more human, and/or ask important environmental and ethical questions. And it was through that thinking that I came to understand that the only shoes that I was making or knew about that really lived up to that was barefoot shoemaking, where the shoes really allow the foot to do its natural thing, allow the foot and the whole body to connect with the ground, to allow you to feel more human. And we make a whole range of barefoot shoes, where the shoes are flat, wide, and thin, from hiking boots to trail running to gym shoes, everyday shoes, kids' shoes, all based on that simple principle that the shoe just should allow the foot to do its natural thing. And most importantly, the nerve endings from the soles of your feet to connect with your brain. So my advice on setting up a sustainable business would be, I think, as we heard from Sebastian, is, a lot of big businesses, they start trying to do the wrong things righter. Whereas, really to build a sustainable business, I think you have to start from a sustainable philosophy and really build a business with sustainability at its core. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Interested that hiking boots can be made with thin soles. I mean, I grew up some time ago now, and there was always the thinking there that a hiking boot had to have kind of the bigger the sole, the more impressive you were as a hiker. So is there a counterintuitive, or how have you found your customers engaging with you around a kind of a hiking boot with that sort of different type of sole?
Yeah, I mean, obviously humans have hiked all over the world, and we wouldn't be sitting here today in Germany if it wasn't for humans traveling across German mountains and deserts, and there was no foot technology while all that human movement was going on around the world. And the same way for running, you don't need any padding to run fast. If you look at anyone elite, you don't need any support or padding to be able to walk through nature. You just need a bit of grip and you need a bit of protection. And so, yeah, we don't believe in underfoot technology, and neither did humans, and it seemed to for many, many years.
Okay, well, thank you very much. Okay, Henning, turning to you, perhaps you can do the same thing. 2 minutes to tell us what you do in your business, but also then talk about the kind of nugget of business or sustainable business, innovative technology or innovation that you'd pass on if you were asked to. Anyway.
Yeah, sure. Thanks for the invitation. My name is Henning. I'm the founder and managing director of Melawear. We started 5 years ago by selling garments that are fair trade and organic certified. Since then, we have launched the world's first backpack that is fair trade and organic, which means GOTS, Global Organic Textile Standards certified. We became known also for our garments that by now are fully biodegradable and according to Cradle to Cradle and the gold standard. We launched it 3 months before C&A did their launch. And this year, 2 months ago actually, we launched world's first sneaker that is certified by the Fairtrade Cotton Standard and the Global Organic Textile Standards, where all of the 24 components of the shoes pass the strict criteria of the Global Organic Textile Standard. So for me, innovation means continuously improving the products and not focusing on one material only, but seeing a product as a holistic part and really going to its ground. To give you an example, for the sneaker, it took us 2 years and 100,000 euros from our own pocket in R&D investment. Even the Global Organic Textile Standard wasn't sure whether it is possible or not. So for us, only the highest standards of scientists are valid and not what, from the consumer perspective, is seen as to be sustainable, like, for example, recycling materials. So for us, a holistic business model being sustainable on all 3 pillars equally and not taking only Lighthouse project is what we aim for. And we are happy to answer any questions today from the panel, from the audience, or also later on the outside exhibition or at Premium Fashion Week where we exhibit.
Sure. Thank you very much. Audience, there's your cue. Please be thinking of questions. You've been very quiet so far, but if you'd like to ask questions, then please do put your hand up at any point, and I promise I will come straight to you. Okay, thank you very much, Henning. Perhaps I can turn to Jonas from EKN. Same question to you then. Tell us what you do at your business, and then tell us what's the kind of one bit of business innovation advice you'd pass on. Thank you.
All right. Thanks for being here, or for me for the invitation.
Well, thank you for being here.
I am from EKN Footwear. We're based in Frankfurt. We do produce shoes. And I've been with the company for not so long, but we are producing shoes in Portugal. We're using different materials such as vegetable tanned leather. We use recycled outsoles from leftover waste from the traditional shoe industry. We use microfibers, so synthetic leather materials, which are produced by using PET, recycled PET bottles. We do have what I would say 3 like key facts which kind of explain how our company works, which is we are using organic materials, so made from organic materials. We're producing in Europe, producing in Portugal, where we have a really old history of traditional shoemaking, so our shoes are handmade. And our last slogan would be made in friendship, which is one thing which for me was really important entering the brand, because we're trying, as other companies as well, trying to produce a shoe which is up to date to design and to the trends which are running the fashion industry, but are trying to have that shoe handmade from sustainable materials, but still be in a price segment which is affordable for the average consumer. So not to enter in a price range where you're above 200, 300, 400 euros, but to keep it simple in a price range such as other companies you see here. And regarding innovations, for us, it's really important, or what we learned was that you don't, or what you also learned in the development of sustainability regarding cosmetics or food, that you should not just adapt to the big players and kind of do what they do, but in a sustainable way, but think of yourself as a developer as well. That's why we try to, with our production agents and the suppliers, to kind of work on new materials, such as we are working on right now, material which I'll come to that later.
Okay.
Thanks.
Then thank you very much. Interesting your point around the affordability of the pricing point. How much do you see yourselves as innovating products and then trying to get them down to the price, or do you start with the price point? This is the price point we're aiming for, and we need to work to that.
Well, the thing is, in our case, we made the experience, if you do not have a huge machinery behind the brand, it actually is not that hard to produce a sustainable shoe for a price which is affordable for the average consumer. So it is actually, while designing a shoe, that's actually not a big question how expensive it's going to be. I mean, obviously, if I would use a really, really, really expensive material, if I would, I don't know, put on gold on my shoe, obviously that's going to be expensive. But just designing the shoe itself, that's actually not a question where you have, or we made the experience where we really have to have a focus on.
Sure. Okay, well, thank you very much. We can debate the sustainability of gold, perhaps not on this panel. I'll turn to Sebastian from that too then. Same question to you. 2 minutes to tell us what you do at your business, and also, what's a little bit of advice you'd like to pass on to the audience?
Yeah, hi. I'm Sebastian from Nat2. I'm the 6th generation of shoemakers in our family. So we produce shoes since 1856. And we are coming from a homeware and slipper background, so we are still producing these kind of home slippers, which is our main business and which also allows us to do a lot of innovative things. And since more than 40 years, we are also designing and producing and developing for other brands and companies. And at some time, we're really sick of just doing what others expect us to do, or any innovative things we created nobody wanted to have because the brands say it doesn't fit into our CI, or we don't think will sell or something. So 11 years ago we founded the brand because my father, in the 90s, he had the first fully compostable shoe, and at that time there was no awareness for any sustainability in fashion, so he failed after 3 seasons just because there was no demand. And he never gave up on that. And when I was old enough and joined the company, he took a second chance, and we founded our brand together. And since then, we are just creating products with very innovative materials or concepts, like a transformable shoe, or we use materials which have never been used before, like the world's first vegan wooden shoe made from FSC certified sustainable wood. Everything is handmade in Italy. We also do shoes made from a Bavarian hayfield, or we do shoes made from mushrooms, and we just show what is possible to do. And for us, it doesn't matter how much the product will cost or if there's any demand. For example, we created a shoe made from stone, and there's just no market for a shoe made out of stone, but there's still, as we can see, a lot of people who are into something like this. So it doesn't matter for us how much the cost of the product will be if we are able to do it, and 50% of the times we fail, but the other 50% of the times we are able to launch the product. We just do it, and it's just depending on the effort how much the cost will be, but it can be a cheaper product, but it can be a really high-priced product.
Thank you, that's fascinating. You talked about the fact that your father had a fully compostable shoe, but there was no market for it. He couldn't sell it or couldn't create it. How have you seen things change from then to now? You talk about you have a vegan wooden shoe, you have shoes made from mushrooms, you have various other things. How has it changed? How have consumers changed in their approach to these products?
Well, through all the media pressure now, there are a lot more consumers worldwide who are really aware of the problems, even if they maybe don't follow that in their daily life, but at least they're aware of the problem. And maybe it's not a reason to buy the product, but also people don't mind. But back then, people would even mind if a product maybe is sustainable because they were not seeing that this shoe maybe could last as long as other shoes. On the other hand, there was really a problem that if you use, for example, 100% organic threads, it will last only about 1.5 years. And at that time, the shoe cost €90, which would be nothing for today. But it is a problem if after 1.5 years the shoe is falling apart. And the difference to now is that now you have technical possibilities to use an organic thread, and it still lasts as long as a synthetic thread. Sure. So, technology.
Well, thank you very much. Sebastian Kopp, do you want to come back in now?
Yes, it's the thing is I don't want to. I spoke about Veja. I just wanted to thank the organization and Max for the really. I'm impressed about everything, but there is only one thing that we are in 2018, And we are 6 guys on the scene. And I think it's not... we talk about changing things, we talk about changing the world, we talk about a lot of things. And I talk about that with my wife, and she said, once you're invited to things like this, you just refuse. So I didn't realize until yesterday night at midnight that we were only guys, and I think it's our role to say no. So my proposal, as I spoke already too much, is that I'm replaced by Marine, who is the head of communication of Veja, and there is one girl.
Okay. Agreed. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Sebastian, and I'm delighted to welcome your colleague. While we're doing that, and a very good point, I know I do work in another life for a conference business, and I know how much everyone who runs an event strives to have balance on panels, and they do their utmost to do that, and I know that's something that the organisers of this event have done too. However, I know sometimes it isn't possible, but it is a very good point that we must have balance on panels, and it's a point well made. So thank you for making that, Sebastian. Welcome.
Hello, everyone.
Hello. Right. Well, I'll find my most difficult question, but no, I was going to ask Sebastian about certification, because in his presentation he talked about all the interesting ways of developing new supply chains, and I really wondered for him, what is the role of certification in that, and how does certification help in developing that sort of sustainable supply chain?
At Veja, we are not very keen on certification because usually it just costs a lot of money, and we prefer for the producers and the people we are working with to bring this budget and everything they can do to change their product and their raw material. And certification is not about being fair or not. It's not 100% of the thing for us. So we have no certification. We used to have some, but we truly think that it's not coming from this.
Sure. Certification doesn't allow for the innovation, perhaps, because it's just a more of a line in the sand than a kind of allowing for innovation in the sort of ways that you're doing it with your supply chain.
Sorry, I didn't understand.
Certification doesn't allow for the level of innovation that you're looking for in your supply chain. Is that the reason that you find it, you don't use it as much, or you find it not useful?
I don't really know, but it's just that there is hundreds and hundreds of certification nowadays, and sometimes it doesn't really mean anything. So you have the European certification, you have the worldwide certification. Sometimes they are the same, but with different names. And so it's just that, yeah, we are not sure that sometimes there is big certification that, for example, the Max Havelaar, we really trust it. And for example, Sebastien Kopp met Tristan Lecomte through his journey with the other co-founder, Guilain. And that was part of the project of Veja because they were truly interested by what they saw with this. So there is good certification, but there is other who are not very necessary to...
Rest of the panel, any views on the pros and cons of certification? I know it's a kind of a debate that many people at other conferences talk about all the time, but yeah, Henning.
So, same as Sebastian told, I'm also privileged to have studied on one of the most well-known universities for sustainability, Leuphana University. I have learned at my MBA that I should question what I do. I have learned that I should prove what I do. I have not studied too much on marketing, how to promote myself, because everybody could come up here and tell something about their product. If you do it on a large scale, I truly believe it. If you do it in the 6th generation, I mean, there's a lot of knowledge there. But if you want to scale, and if you want to go to the mass market, and if you have studied well what you are doing, you can narrow it down to 3 or 4 certificates, whether it's for man-made fiber or natural fiber. Scientists all over the world are clear on that the global organic textile standard, for example, is a collaboration of 3 continents, putting it down, nailing it down, and making it clear where do we have the chemicals that we need to avoid, where do we have to limit them. So Fairtrade is an organization worldwide known. It works everywhere. So how can I prove better than having a third party coming into my company? I open my books and everybody can check it. If I put a certificate on my product about chemicals, about what I do on the components, and we haven't talked much about environment in the last hour here on the presentations, what we really put into our products, it becomes very clear that we make ourselves transparent, and I think transparency is very important. If I claim that this sneaker, with all its 25 components, is fully complying with the global organic textile standard, you can print out the list. It's several pages of chemicals, and you will find out what I have avoided to put in that shoe and what I was allowed to put in that shoe. And I think it's very important because this is a commodity product. You start walking and the materials start getting in the environment, and nobody wants materials in the environment that are harmful. So I truly believe if you want to scale, if you want to become a big brand, you have to have certificates and you have to challenge yourself. Else, it's only self-declaration that is so-called greenwashing. Sorry.
Sure. No, so I guess the question is, if not certification, then what? Is the chance? Briefly.
I think it's a tough one for Marine. So
Okay.
Sorry. And a lot of things are said that are really. So just to Marine has joined Veja in January, so a bit new in the company, and those are maybe the most difficult parts and the most complicated parts. So I go back and I come back to sit. But certifications we have. We are certified organic cotton.
Yeah.
We have one person on field working for Veja and who is visiting every day organic cotton producers every day. And we have IBD. You can check. It's the organic cotton certification for Brazil, which is quite high standards. And I think we need certifications. The thing is, we have been certified with Max Havelaar. We have been certified fair trade. So we have been certified from 2011 to 2014. But the thing is, and it's on our website, I think it was 30,000, the cost of certification was 35,000 euros. And we were buying, I think, 150,000 euros of cotton. So the cost of certification was, I'm not very good at math. It was 20% of the price. Yeah. And the thing is, we were on field. We were doing the job. We knew the producers. We had one person following the producer. We work still with an NGO following and giving support to the organic cotton producers. Why? If I do the job, I will pay somebody else, and they have two guys in Brazil working maybe with 3,000 cooperatives to check what we're doing. The cost for us was, I prefer to put this money into the producers. So you talk about transparency. Transparency and third-party control is important, is very important. But you have to know that what is more important for me is to go on field, to know the producers, to meet them, to share with them, to share the problems, to share the limits. And that's what we did on a website in March, last March. We put everything. We put all the chemical tests that is in a shoe. So it's online, you can check. We put all the certified third parties. We put everything online, and we even put why we don't work with fair trade, Max Havelaar, which is an NGO that I respect really much. But for us, on our scale, it was not economically viable.
Sure.
But 100% certifications are important, but certifications is the first step.
Okay.
Then you have 99 to take. And I go back to Marine. Thank
Great,
you very
thank
much,
you.
guys.
Thank you very much. Okay, I do want to bring the rest of the panel back in now. I'm afraid running out of time in this session, but I want to talk about trends or innovation that you're seeing. Trends that you're seeing that you're getting excited about. Galahad, what trends and innovation are you seeing that you're getting excited about?
I mean, there's obviously a lot of wonderful material innovation going on, and you can see a lot at this show. And I've seen some things, honestly, I've never seen before, which is always very exciting. You know, I think obviously in shoe world, we're starting to innovate around some smart technologies as well, where we have a mission to sort of almost re-educate people back to natural movement, and through pressure sensors in the shoes, we're innovating a product to be able to almost coach people back to natural, healthy movement. So,
okay.
You know, that's an exciting area for us.
Sure. Henning, what are the innovations and the trends that you're getting excited about?
Maybe sometimes to understand what an innovation is, it's good to know what is not an innovation. So I would like to give an example what is not an innovation. If you make a product and you take one material out of several to make it, and you call that to be genius, but you forgot about all the rest, especially when it comes to environment and ecological standard, it's not an innovation. The product is good if the entire product is innovative. So there are many materials that we use nowadays where we need something to put on the backside, to combine it, to use glues, adhesive, paddings, accessories, metal trims, plastic, production processes, process chemicals. This is part of the innovation. It's not enough to take a simple material and say, for example, let's go and collect plastic from the ocean. Yeah. Plastic from the ocean. If you put toxic plastic into the ocean, what can you get from the ocean? I tell you, plastic that is even more toxic. Why? Because the ocean gives more toxic compartments to the plastic than before it entered the ocean. So if you put bad materials into the process and take them out, how can you call that innovation? Yesterday I was passing the Spree, the river. There was a big advertisement from Adidas saying we use recycled polyester to make a sneaker. They were not talking about all the other components. What about the adhesives, the glue, the sewing thread, the labels, the packaging? Not even about how the workers are treated. So just to give an example, if you want to make an innovation, think it holistically. Not pick one thing and put it there and say, this is what we're doing, and forget about all the rest. Innovation is holistic.
Very good point. It has to be a holistic approach. Very good point indeed. Jonas from EKN, what's the innovation that you're getting excited about?
I just want to address what he just shortly. I think, I mean, if you look into big companies, which are, for example, Adidas, which come in with innovations, I think you have to actually see the good thing about it, that the good players are actually forced to work on those innovations. I mean, we have a situation where big companies, such as Adidas and Nike, which are producing several more shoes pairs than any of all of us combined, that they are forced through a development which we are all working on, that they are forced to actually innovate in that field as well. And for me, innovation, I mean, if it's good or bad innovation, I don't know yet, but for me, especially in the shoe industry, I think the whole 3D technology, I don't know if it's going to turn out really well or bad, but it is a really, really interesting development, because in the end, you would have a product which the consumer actually could produce himself. So you just design, I mean, I'm not saying that we're planning to do this, but this is something which just I feel really interested about as an innovation. That you have a product which the customer itself actually produces, so there's not a huge supply chain. There's no material which has to be shipped all over the world. That's, for example, for me, one innovation which could be changing the market, could be revolutionary. I don't know, but that's something which is really interesting for me.
Thank you. Do you want to jump in? innovation that's exciting you?
So yeah, for us, innovation is about ecology for sure, but about respect of the human too. So we are trying to bring new raw material every season, every collection. So for example, we had the B-mesh, which is a bottle mesh. It's recycled plastic bottles from the street and not from the ocean. But yeah, we are starting to work with 3D too, and we have some cool raw material that are coming for spring/summer 2019 and are very, very innovative.
Thank you very much. And Sebastian, to finish off.
Yes, what I follow all my pre-speakers. What I think is necessary to create more awareness and also success in this sustainable business is that people should not forget the design point, that also the products we create should really look good. Yeah, and this creates more awareness, because in the past, I think like in the 90s, when you looked at all the sustainable products, it looked like you're just wearing a sack of coffee. And nobody wants to look like a sack of coffee. People will not change their style. They still want to wear maybe a black suit, or if it's not sustainable, you can make a dark gray suit at least. But it's still, you cannot change the whole style and aesthetical feeling of people. So you have to create products which are not only sustainable, but also look really good. They have to make people want to buy this instead of buying a normal shoe. And this is what also many big companies forget. They create some innovation, and then they say, yeah, it's innovative because of the material. But how about the look? How about the design? And this is something, why not do both? Create a sustainable product, but also something that looks really nice.
So, yeah, from a consumer's perspective, they don't think, oh, that's a sustainable bit of item of footwear. They think, oh, that's a cool shoe, I guess. That's the secret. Okay, we've come out of time again. Thank you very much to the panel for some great insight. I really appreciate it. Thank you very much indeed. Join me, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you. Oh, we have a question. Please, could we have the audience microphone? Ion. There, sir.
Thanks. Hi, I'm Tim Janssen. I'm director of the Cradle to Cradle Association based in Berlin. And following your discussion about innovation and sustainability, the Cradle to Cradle concept have two aspects generally. There's one aspect of the circularity of materials and the material health. And the material health aspect has something to do with the usage scenario also. So my question to all the panelists would be, have you designed, for example, the material for the sole, for the scenario? So the scenario might be that by the usage, the material gets less. So my question is, what about the material health of the sole of your shoes? Is it made to become part of the natural environment? And are the materials healthy for us humans as well?
Very good question.
Thank you.
Thank you very much indeed. Very quickly, please, panel, just one or two sentences if you can. I know it's a tricky question to answer. Sebastian, start with you. Cradle-to-cradle design, what are you putting into your shoes that meets the specifications the question around?
Well, I don't know if it's your organization or some other organization, but we were already in contact about cradle-to-cradle, but there are also some limits because we source everything, all the materials we produce in Italy in our factory, we source in around 100 kilometers around, and there are no 100% natural rubber soles. This is technically not possible, so we would have to get, for example, natural rubber from Brazil, which makes sense if you produce in Brazil to use these natural rubber outsoles. But for us, for example, in Italy, there's no product available, so we would have to import it from Brazil, from somewhere, and the footprint at the end would be much bigger than we use real rubber outsoles, but mixed with TPR, and not 100% natural rubber outsoles. So for us, it was technically so far not possible. If there's any supplier for cradle-to-cradle outsoles, which look nice and the cost is okay, we would be open-minded.
Sure. Thank you. Well, yes, great point indeed. Thank you. Yes?
This is why we are producing in Brazil, because it's the country where we can find all the raw material we need to make a sneaker. So from the Veja in Amazonian forest, we take the wild rubber, which compose 40 to 50% of each pair of Veja. We are starting to find alternatives to bring more and more wild rubber, but it takes time, and so we will see after.
Thank you. Jonas, what's your business's approach to the cradle-to-cradle issue?
Yes, Sebastian already mentioned it. We are working on it. We are also using natural rubber, so that's one material which we're using, which you can't use for all the sneakers, sadly. I mean, you could put it on all the sneakers, but sometimes it just doesn't look good, it doesn't fit. So we are actually really interested if there's any other materials. We are using right now recycled plastic. Obviously, if that rubs off, there's better materials you can use for outsoles. Problem is, which we are really frustrated about, that material for a shoe obviously you have huge requirements on stability. Sorry. Therefore, I mean, we started off with natural rubber. If there's anything else, we might find something here today. I don't know. But yeah, we're really interested in it.
Okay.
And
Thank you.
looking forward.
Henning, I guess this must be something you're considering at your business, the cradle-to-cradle issue?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, all our products are designed according to the cradle-to-cradle design concept. So what my pre-speechers haven't mentioned, of course, our sole is also from natural rubber, but they know it, you might not know it. Of course, we can only use 50, 60 or 70% of natural rubber. And guess what is the rest? It's chemicals. So it took us more than a year to formulate a chemical component that comply with the global organic textile standard. This means that the sole is 2MBT free, that we don't have any nitrosamines, that we don't have any heavy metals. And we can prove that because of a standard. So going further, the insole, which is also important because it touches our foot, it's from the global organic latex standard. It's an organic plantation, and the entire process is organic certified up to the final product, which means 95% is latex, but normally 30% are chemicals. So question the brands you are looking for, what is the other 30%? That's my advice.
Thank you, Henning. Galahad,
Yep.
what's your business's approach to cradle-to-cradle design?
Yeah, no, I agree. I think use of a product and end of life is the elephant in the room. And maybe we're looking at a future where people that make things like shoes and manufacturers have the responsibility to take them back. And that doesn't exist in the fashion industry yet. And hopefully that will do one day. And I think suppliers that can take products back and find a way to create some kind of circularity is a big responsibility of the future.
Okay, thank you. We are run over for this panel. Apologies, but we had a question from the floor, which I wasn't going to miss. So please join me now in thanking our panel for a great session on footwear innovation. Thank you very much indeed. Thank you, guys.